Revenge films.
I have 2 sons, and both of them are married. When my eldest got engaged, his future and her family said very sternly, "Don't contact us unless for ceremonial occasions." It turns out that the wife's mother went through a lot of problems with her mother-in-law. Of course, I had no intention of bullying her whatsoever. I wanted to make friends with her because she was going to marry my son and become a part of the family after all. But if she had really seen her mother have lots of issues with her mother-in-law, I could understand what she could be thinking, and so I accepted. One day, during that time of silence between me and my elder son's family, a letter from my eldest arrived at our home. I only wanted to let him know about it, but when I picked up my cell phone and called him, for some reason his wife answered with an extremely cold and sarcastic, "What do you want?" When I told her that a letter had arrived from my son, I was met with a similarly abrasive, "Oh, is that so?" and then asked for the contents of the letter. After I briefly explained, "We don't need it, so throw it out," was the only response before she swiftly hung up. Okay, what the heck was even that? I was doing what I was asked to do, to put some distance between her and I. I wouldn't have even called had the letter not arrived. But she acted as though I'd thought of a good excuse to try and call my son. Finally, pissed off at my daughter-in-law's actions, I talked with my eldest, who just happened to stop by with some of his belongings, along with my husband.
"It's what my wife decided."
But he just foolishly replied he was completely under his wife's thumb, and there was nothing that could be done. So I told him, "I will not contact you. If anything's delivered here, that's for you, all right?" A year later, his wife contacted me suddenly saying, "FYI, I bore a child." Obviously, me and my husband were overjoyed, it being our first grandchild. So I said, "What? Well then, how about a gathering when things settle down?" But my daughter-in-law said something that left me in shock. "The hell? Could you not, please? The celebrations can come in the mail." That's what she said. That was when we really got the message that it wasn't worth it at all. So after talking it over with my husband, we decided to cut them both free. Of course, we never sent any celebrations. We were contacted again by our daughter-in-law. "No celebrations, even when your grandchild's born? Are you mad?" I simply responded with, "I didn't know what to send to my grandchild, who I'm forbidden to even meet," and left it at that. A year later, my younger son got married. My younger son's wife is a cute little flower that smiles and laughs a whole lot. And when we met her parents, with this joyous joining, "Please take good care of our daughter and her family," they treated with such kindness, and I was relieved. I guess my mentality changed a bit since meeting my eldest's wife and her parents. My youngest's wife often contacted us, and on Mother's Day or Father's Day, she would so kindly directly bring a present and say, "I really do hope you enjoy." She and my youngest would often come over, and we would have dinner together. "Oh my, your cooking is so delicious! Teach me the recipe next time I come, please!" What an angel! Obviously, hearing such things made me so happy. So when I told her my youngest's taste in food, both he and she were overjoyed. Additionally, she would pay us 3 seasonal visits, and she would bring back a small present from a short trip somewhere. And she eventually invited me out to lunch because we have the same hobbies. With the experiences I'd had with my eldest's wife, I was grinning from ear to ear. Oh, what a kind, amazing girl she is. However, it was around then that I realized my eldest's wife was poking at her. I'm paraphrasing here, but apparently she was insulting her, calling her things like a rat that was after the family fortune. I got very worried when my youngest told me about this, and I asked his wife, "Are you all right? Are you having a hard time? Such a chowderhead, isn't she?" She responded with a smile, proving that she wasn't really paying any attention to her. I laughed with her, saying that she really is a chowderhead. Such was life for a while, until the notice that my youngest's wife was pregnant. She gave us the news when she came over together with my youngest. Of course, we were beside ourselves with joy. Even while pregnant, my youngest's wife could come over and ask me, a veteran in childcare, many questions. She gave birth without any complications, and she invited almost immediately afterwards, so our love for this grandchild of ours was beyond anything imaginable. We have our eldest child, but because we're practically forbidden from meeting them, we started to acknowledge that this new child was our very first grandchild. We asked her preferences in baby carriages, baby products, and clothes, and sent them her way. She was very happy about that, and we all lived happily ever after. But for the fact that around that time, my eldest wife emailed me saying, "Spoiling the wife of the brother and absolutely nothing for us? Traitor!" Me and my husband were unfazed. Had she forgotten her own words from a few years ago? However, because I wasn't responding to her, heeding to her own words, mind, she finally came around with this message. "What is the meaning of all this? You seem to be buying lots of things for the wife of the younger brother, doesn't it? If you have that much allowance, it's only natural that you buy something for our child too. Not to mention, this child is the child of your firstborn. It's wildly different from the child of your younger son." This illogical nonsense. I couldn't help myself from snorting with laughter. That may be so, but do you remember that we were doing what you asked us to do? You told us to never contact you unless it was for ceremonious occasions. That's beside the point. Isn't your grandchild adorable? My youngest son-child is quite the adorable angel, yes. They're the child of a daughter-in-law who spends time with us, smiling for us a whole lot. She even invited us to see her child soon after it was born. So, on the other hand, you declined seeing anything of us. And these past few years, we've only seen each other, 2, 3 times? Nonetheless, it's obvious you should take care of your grandchild. Say what you want. We have no intention of keeping any relations with you. I hung up after that last retort. A few days later, I got a call from my eldest saying,
"This is too far, Mom!"
"And what do you think you're saying, mister? It's also your responsibility that you did nothing to defend us, however badly we were treated, and that you were under your wife's thumb this whole time. I'm sorry, but we're thinking of legally passing the whole family estate to your brother and his family. Adhere to your wife's wishes, break ties with us, and go on leading your happy life with her."
What? Wait a second, Mom! You're being crazy!
We don't need you bickering to us about what to do with our own estate. You need not come to any ceremonious occasions anymore, and don't bother coming to our funerals. I didn't hold back and hung up. Then I felt light, and I felt like some dark cloud leering over my chest was dissipating into nothingness. By the way, my husband and I aren't very fashionable kind of people, so we have quite a bit of savings. So we obviously wanted to do many things for my eldest and his family at the beginning, but those intentions are nowhere to be found now. And here we are, never holding back, supporting our youngest family. Our youngest wife would always say, "I feel sorry with you doing all of this for us." But I would answer that it's what we want to do for our grandchild. No presents thus far, but after I told them we've no intention of handing over our estate to them, my eldest family started calling us, checking up on how we were doing. And while they never did before, they came to visit during the New Year's celebration. Happy New Year, everyone!
Happy New Year, Mom. Dad.
Their eyes seemed blank, and me and my husband regarded them with cold bitterness. They'd never brought us any gifts, but they did on this occasion. But the insincerity left us unfazed. I sympathized with grandchild, though, and like my other, I gave them a New Year's present. But they were treated like they were part of the air in the room, as they should be. The difference in closeness and treatment between a daughter-in-law I hadn't seen in 3 years and a daughter-in-law that visits thrice a week is all too obvious. We had just about enough of them when they tried to stay indefinitely. So, you've greeted us. What's stopping you from leaving?
Please don't say stuff like that, Mom. You're so cold.
What's with this nonsense again? No excuse for not showing us your child for all these years. The present I gave your child was a token of mercy. They did absolutely nothing wrong.
We're really sorry. We're gonna start seeing you more often from now on, so please don't say such things.
Of course, we're gonna let our child get to know you too. We don't need that. What's more important is that we're going on a hot spring trip with your brother's family. We can't lock the house down, so I'm telling you, get out. My eldest and his wife got teary-eyed, but this is what they get for what they did. so I have no intention of sympathizing.
A few days ago, it was my friend Tsukami's wedding day, but she didn't arrive by the time the ceremony was supposed to start. Everyone started fussing trying to call her phone, but nobody could get through. The groom had gone pale and the venue turned to chaos. By the time contact had been made, it was already past 11, and Tsukami's parents had already apologized over and over to the groom and his family, and all the guests had gone home, angry. As for Tsukami, she had gotten pretty drunk at her bachelorette party the day before, and had lost her phone and her purse. After the party, she had fallen asleep on a park bench in the next town, was found and reported to the police. She had been admitted to hospital, just in case, but when she came to, it was already way past the time the ceremony was supposed to start. When she realized, her scream apparently echoed through the halls of the hospital. What an idiot. But the truth is all this was planned. By me. The story will go back in time a bit, but I have a brother that's 5 years older than me. When he graduated from high school, he left our hometown and got into a university in one of the bigger cities. After graduating from university, he got a job over there. My brother introduced Tsukami as his fiance when he was 24 and when Tsukami was 19. They met when she took on a part-time job at his workplace. When I first saw Tsukami, she seemed like the flashy type, and I felt that she didn't really match my brother, who was diligent and shy when it comes to girls. But my brother was head over heels in love, and even though my dad wasn't too convinced, he trusted my brother's honest personality and gave them his blessing. Tsukami's parents were completely against the marriage, but my brother visited them repeatedly just to convince them and said that they didn't have to pay for anything. On top of that, he promised that he would pay for the entire wedding, and with that, they finally gave their consent. I regretted thinking badly of Tsukami when she had said she would drop out of university just to be with my brother. My brother spent almost $34,000 in order to prepare the wedding, fulfilling as many of Tsukami's wishes as possible, and to buy a new home that would be close to Tsukami's parents' house. However, the day before the wedding, Tsukami had suddenly moved all of her stuff out of their new home and disappeared. After that, my brother received a text from Tsukami saying, "I can't marry you after all, I'm sorry!" There had apparently been a few signs that she had been cheating, but the wedding was coming up, so my brother had decided to trust her and ignore those signs. It turned out that Tsukami had been cheating after all, and the wedding was canceled. When we looked for her, desperately, we found out she was with her childhood friend / ex-boyfriend. When he found out that Tsukami was getting married, this ex-boyfriend had called her up and they got back together. After that, the engagement fell apart, with Tsukami to blame. Tsukami had complained quite a lot, but once a lawyer became the middleman, it was decided that she would pay compensation and reimburse the wedding fees. After this, my brother had tried his best to get back on his feet, but of course, not everyone around him was sympathetic, and it seems there were a lot of people at work who were talking behind his back and making fun of him. This caused a great deal of stress for my brother, and he started visiting the hospital to get antidepressants, but they didn't work, and his depression got worse. In the end, he had to resign. He moved back to our hometown to live at our dad's house, but he became a shut-in. As for me, I completed a short course at university and coincidentally moved to the area near to where my brother had been living until the wedding. I was worried about my brother, but my dad and older sister told me,
"Don't worry about us. We'll take care of him. You do the work you want to do,"
and sent me off. I couldn't help but keep looking back, but I decided to work hard at my new job. One day, once my new life had calmed down, I was driving when I happened to think, isn't this near to where Tsukami lives? I decided to drive around a little more. Then, near to where Tsukami's house was, I found her walking, holding hands with a guy. The guy was the ex-boyfriend she had been cheating with. My brother was only thinking of Tsukami when he decided to pay for the entire wedding and worked hard to prepare that money. I couldn't forgive that the two people responsible for breaking that up were so happy and carefree. After looking into it, I heard that even though they had made a mess of my brother's wedding, they had plans to get married themselves in the near future. When I found out, a plan formed in my head for revenge. So that Tsukami wouldn't realize that I was her ex-fiance's sister, I dyed my hair black and changed my glasses to contacts. I changed my makeup style from natural to the flashy style that was popular and tried to wear clothes that Tsukami and her friends would wear. I disguised myself and created an opportunity to meet her. We spoke and became friends instantly. Tsukami had lost a lot of friends when she left my brother, so she must have been pretty lonely. She invited me to her wedding straight away. The day before her wedding, I gathered her friends and drinking buddies at her favorite bar and told her it was a surprise party. "Tsukami, congratulations!" "Thank you! I promise I'll become happy!" My anger boiled inside me as she said it, but I faked a smile. I knew from research that she was a big fan of drinking, and that she was a bad drunk. It looked like she was limiting herself at the beginning, but she couldn't stop and was chugging strong alcohol in no time. By the way, I was drinking juice and ginger ale and only pretending to be drunk. I hadn't drunk any alcohol at all. Everyone went home when they had gotten a little tipsy. I stayed, pretending to take care of Tsukami. Once everyone had gone, I pushed the drunk Tsukami into my car, which I had parked around the corner. In the middle of the night, I drove Tsukami to the next town and left her on a random bench in a random park. It was summer, so there was no chance of her dying from hypothermia, and someone would surely spot her on their early morning run. After driving for a while, I threw her bag out of the window. It contained her purse and phone and other ID. Tsukami was fast asleep until morning, when she was found covered in mosquito bites by someone during their run. They called the police, who called for an ambulance just in case. Afterwards, when she heard that I was the last person with her, Tsukami went crazy and took her anger out on me. But I told her, "What are you saying? When we were about to get on the taxi, you suddenly said you were going home first and left me behind. Thanks to you, I had to find another taxi." When I said that, she couldn't counter. Of course, she had been so drunk she couldn't remember a thing. On top of that, everyone knew just how bad a drunk she was, since she often fell asleep at bars and in friends' toilets and bathtubs. And most of the time, she didn't remember a thing. So, her remaining friends... "Unbelievable. I can't believe you would drink so much the day before your own wedding. It's your own fault for not controlling yourself. I took the day off work and went to get my hair done especially. Give me back my time and money." Were pretty cool towards her. Because she hadn't turned up and even blamed me for it, her very few friends cut ties with her. When my brother's wedding was canceled, her parents had said,
This is why we didn't want her marrying a guy from the countryside from a single-father family.
and blamed my brother, even though their own daughter was completely at fault. It was refreshing to see them apologize so much to the groom's family this time around. I cut my ties with Tsukami, using her accusations as my reason, and after that she had lost all her friends and had even
You ruined 2 weddings!
gotten thrown out by her own parents. The groom also
Damn it! You ruined the wedding! It's all your fault! You better pay me back!
has his bit to say, but from my point of view, he's guilty of the same thing. From now on, he'll suffer the same way my brother did, so I hope he enjoys it. Just because I was able to get revenge on Tsukami and her groom doesn't mean my brother gets his time or past back, and I understand that it's completely for self-satisfaction. But thinking about my brother and the family who are so worried about him, I couldn't help myself. I plan on waiting with my family for my kind brother to come back to us and leave his room one day. If possible, I want him to meet a wonderful woman who he can be happy with.
I'm Allie. It was New Year's holiday, everyone's favorite holiday. Going on a road trip with your family to visit your grandparents, staying up late watching TV with your family, going to the shrine early in the morning while it's still dark out, enjoying a nice feast with the family, and the kids trying to guess what they got for Christmas. It was a pretty exciting time of year, and everyone loved the holiday season, right? Well, not me. I hated the holidays. I hated it. Our family always gathered at my grandfather's house. There were always 20 to 30 relatives there. Everyone had to dress up for the occasion. It was tradition, but all they did was eat and drink. The feast went on for days. Sounds fun, right? Well, not for us. Mom and I had to prepare their food and clean up for them. It was a lot of work. My mom had to get to the house 5 days before New Year's just to get ready. When I was in 3rd grade, I started helping my mom. I was still a kid, so there wasn't much I could do, but Mom always thanked me for my help. While she cooked, I cleaned the dishes for her. I also helped clean the mattresses for the guests. Oh, and she put me in charge of cleaning the house before the guests arrived. Meanwhile, Mom worked non-stop. She had to meet with caterers, go grocery shopping, cook and clean. She barely had any time to sleep. She was Grandpa's oldest son's wife, so he made her do everything. It was a lot of work. Many of our relatives helped, but still, it was a lot of pressure on her. Usually, the guests left after 4 days or so. When the guests left, she usually slept for days. But sometimes, some of the guests didn't leave. They didn't even care about my mom.
Booze! Bring me more booze!
I'm hungry! I want more food!
Stop slacking off and get to work! Come on now!
They were so mean to her. They treated her like a servant. I hated them so much. I just wanted to smack them in their stupid faces. By the way, my grandma was sick too, so she had to take care of her too. I had no idea how she did it. And my grandma was pretty mean too. She couldn't move around on her own, so she was pretty frustrated. And she took it all out on my mom. I was in charge of looking after the little kids there. This one time, I stayed up all night trying to comfort a crying baby. Then, when I was in 8th grade, something unexpected happened. Dad said to my mom,
I love someone else now. I want to spend the holiday with her from now on.
"What? You mean you want a divorce?" My mother replied.
Yeah, I just don't have any feelings for you anymore.
So she started packing up her things. Turns out Dad's been cheating on her for years. And now his mistress was pregnant with his kid. Dad said he'll pay her for damages and child support. But still, how can he do this to her? After everything she did for him, it was unbelievable. I was furious with him. But Mom didn't seem that mad. "Screw him. Let's go live in the city. It'll be fun." I wasn't expecting that. "You sure?" "I've never been to the city before." "Yeah, we'll be fine, dear." She sounded really confident for some reason. She had some work experience. She worked for 3 years before marrying my dad. But after that, she quit her job and became a housewife. So I didn't know what she was planning to do for money after moving to the city. But she looked determined, so I decided to trust her. I've always wanted to live in the city. That's why I was working so hard to save up some money. But my parents kept bugging me, telling me to get married, so I married him and gave up on my dreams of moving into the city. Mom's parents were pretty wealthy, but she had 2 brothers and 1 sister. She was the youngest, so they didn't really pay any attention to her, and they kept bugging her to get married at a young age. So anyways, Mom and I moved out to the big city. One cold morning, we were having breakfast. "It's the 28th already. Is there anything we gotta do today?" "No, I don't think so." Then we looked at each other for a while. It's New Year's. And there's nothing we gotta do. It was like a dream come true. Again, it was New Year's and there was nothing we gotta do. We were so excited. "I know, let's go see a movie or something. Let's go to a hot spring resort." So we went out into the city to have some fun. The next morning, we just had toast and coffee as usual, nothing special. "Ah, this is so nice." "Yeah, I can't believe I used to cook so much for New Year's." It was the best New Year's holiday we've had in a while. A few years later, my dad called. We had completely forgotten about him.
Grandma, she got dementia, and she keeps yelling at my wife. I need your help. And our kid is disabled. My wife has too much on her plate. She can't even help out with the New Year's party anymore. Everyone's pretty upset. We miss the old days, you know? Is there any way you guys can come back?
I see. Well, Too bad. Mom and I are busy. We're going to a hot spring resort, so bye. Then I hung up on him. Wow, that felt good. Then Mom said, "He still doesn't get it, huh? He hasn't changed one bit. I feel bad for his new wife. I really do." I kind of felt bad for her too. We still cleaned our house before the holidays, but that was about it. Cooking for 3 days straight? No thanks. And after we moved to the city, I got a full-time job. I was making a decent amount of money, so every year for New Year's, Mom and I went to a hot spring resort for a few days. We looked forward to it every year. We had no idea New Year's holiday could be so much fun. I'm glad everything worked out. Happy New Year! My sister and I looked nothing alike. My sister was really pretty and smart. She was really popular at school, and my parents loved her too. She got into a private university in the city. She lived in a big condominium my parents got for her. She even went on a 1-year study abroad program while she was there. Then she got married. Her husband Bob graduated from one of the best schools in the country. A few years later, they moved abroad for work. She was living the dream. I got a job at a small local company. I got married, and my husband started living with me at my parents' house. My parents were really happy that we were living with them. Then we had our first child. Life was good. Then one day my sister came home. I had no idea she was back in the country. My parents were really excited to see her. My husband couldn't take his eyes off of her. Then she said, "We had to move again for work. This time he was going to a developing country and it wasn't very safe there, so he told me to wait for him back here." But then her husband's lawyer showed up. Turns out my sister was cheating on him. She was having multiple affairs and her husband wanted a divorce. No way! No way! She tried to fight it, but it was no use. She had to pay him for damages, but she had no money, so my parents ended up paying for her. So that's why she came back. She had nowhere else to go. Then, things started to fall apart. After she came home, my parents stopped paying attention to me and my family. I was pretty upset, but there wasn't much I could do. And since my husband and I both worked, I didn't really have time to worry about them. But then, I started to notice things around the house. Why is this pillow on the floor? It wasn't like this when I left the house this morning. Oh well, it was probably nothing. Then one day, I got a call from my son's teacher. He said he was feeling sick, so I left work early to go pick him up. Sorry I'm late. I think he's got a fever. Mommy, my face feels hot. Okay, dear, let's get you home. Thanks for everything. Take care. So I headed home, but when I got there, I saw something I couldn't believe. What's going on? It was my husband and my sister. They were both naked in the bed.
Ah! It's not what it looks like!
But my sister was smiling. Oh, you got us. She was still smiling. I was furious, but I had to take care of my son first. So I got some meds out of the drawer and went to the next room. That should do it. I put my son to bed and went into the living room. Everyone was there, including my parents. Then Mom said something I couldn't believe. Your sister likes him, and he likes her too. Why don't you get a divorce? What? What are you saying? This is ridiculous! Say something! But my husband didn't say anything. Then my sister said, I don't mind. He's actually pretty good in bed, so... Finally, I snapped. How dare you! I jumped on my sister, but then Dad got up and punched me in the face. I couldn't feel my face. I could taste the blood in my mouth. I had no idea what was going on. Did he just hit me? I started crying. Dad, why?
Shut up! We don't even care about you! Just do as she says! We only let you stay here because she was living abroad. But now she's back, so we don't need you anymore! Get the hell out!
Then Mom said, "Oh, and take your ugly son, too. We got your sister now, so we don't need him anymore." I couldn't believe what I was hearing, and my husband didn't even say anything. He just stood there in silence, and my sister was laughing at me. I was devastated. So I got my son and left the house, but I had nowhere to go. I took him to the hospital, got some meds, and went to spend the night in a cheap motel. The next day, I hired a lawyer for my divorce, and luckily there was an opening at one of the apartments my company owned, so we moved in there. Then I sued my husband and my sister for damages. My lawyer was pretty good. He got me a big cash settlement. I never wanted to see them again, so I got that in writing as well. Phew, it was finally over. Then, about 2 years later, I ran into someone in the city.
Allie?
Bob? It was my sister's ex-husband.
Hey there, how are you? How's your husband?
I don't know what to say. I just looked down.
Everything okay? Want to talk about it?
So I told him about everything that happened. He was shocked.
Wow. Just wow. I knew she was trouble, but I wasn't expecting that. I'm so sorry to hear that.
Thanks, but I'm okay. It was more than 2 years ago, and I cut all ties with my family. So what about you? You back here for good?
Oh yeah, I came back a few weeks ago. I actually started a company abroad. It's so good to be back home. I haven't seen my parents in a while, and the food is just so much better here.
He was so nice to me, and I really enjoyed talking to him. Then we started spending more time together. A few months later, we started dating. When he introduced me to his parents, "You're a kind person. I can tell from the look in your eyes," said his mother. It made me feel really happy. Then we got married, and his company was doing well. He was all over the media. He bought us a big house in the city, and now I was pregnant with my second child. But one day, my family and my ex-husband showed up at our house.
What the hell? You two are married now? This makes no sense. She's mine. Get out of here.
Yeah, give him back to her.
Yeah, this house is ours!
Are you serious? You're the one that cheated on him in the first place. And you're married, aren't you? Get out of my face! Screw you. Your ex-husband is useless. You can have him back. No. You keep him. Look, you're not family anymore. Get lost now.
Then they jumped towards me, but my husband stopped them.
That's enough! Stay away from my wife!
Oh, Bob, I missed you. Screw this bitch. Come back to me.
Yeah, listen to her! Why did you even marry Allie? She's so ugly. You can do much better than that, son.
That's enough! If you keep talking about my wife like that, you're gonna regret it. By the way, I called the cops. You tried to assault my wife, so...
Bob, please. Look how much prettier I am.
You? Pretty? You're the worst person ever. I want nothing to do with you.
What? How dare you?
But then the cops arrived just in time.
They tried to assault my wife. Take them away.
What did I do? I did nothing.
Why? Why? Allie's useless! How come she gets to live in a big mansion like this? It doesn't make sense!
Then they got thrown into the police car. Turns out they were up to their necks in debt. They even had to sell off the house. And my sister had multiple lawsuits on her hands. She was having multiple affairs. Then all the neighbors and relatives found out about what happened. They all cut ties with my parents. They had no choice but to move away. My dad ended up losing his job, too. Apparently, they've been living out on the streets for a while. That's why they tried to take my husband away from me. Too bad that didn't work. Anyways, I'm just glad it's all over now. Time to move on with my life. I'm Allie. I just started working a few months ago. Work was hard, but it was a lot of fun. But there was this woman named Claire at work. She was giving me a headache.
Hey, Allie.
Hey, Claire.
I put the paperwork on your desk. Make copies of them before Bob gets here, okay?
Huh? Why me? I thought Bob asked Claire to do this. I can't. I got a meeting soon. Sorry.
Oh, come on! We're friends, right? Friends help each other out.
She's never helped me with anything, though. She was pretty annoying. Then, an older colleague of mine came by. His name was Alex.
What's going on here? Everything okay?
Hello, Alex. I was just asking Allie if she could help me out with a few things, but she won't help me.
Oh, I see. You should help her out, Allie. We're a team here.
Okay. I was pretty annoyed by her, but Alex was my supervisor, so I couldn't really say no. Oh, she was such a jerk. But Claire was pretty, and she knew it. Everyone gave her special treatment, including Alex. It was pretty irritating. Then Bob, Claire's supervisor, showed up.
Good morning, sir.
Morning. You got the documents I asked you for?
Of course, I'll bring them to you right away.
What? Oh, she didn't do anything. Then she came over to me and said,
Is it done yet? Hurry up.
What? I'm just helping you out. If you got a problem, do it yourself.
And I don't know how to use the Xerox machine.
Huh? Not once? How is that even possible?
I always got other people to do it for me, so...
Huh?
It's done! Bob, here they are, all done.
Ah, thanks.
Then she took the papers and took it over to Bob. Bob was really good at his job. Plus, he was very handsome. And I think Claire liked him. Well, she had a terrible personality, but she was pretty, so I guess they'd make a good couple. But still, I hated her. I went to lunch after that, then got back to work. Right before work was over, Claire came to my desk again.
Did you hear? The boss is taking us out for drinks tonight.
Oh, okay, but I still gotta finish this. I don't think I'll make it.
Oh, really? I still got some work to do, too.
Okay, well, I guess we'll have to stay a bit longer and...
But here, you can do it for me. I'm gonna go to the party.
Huh? Hold on. That's your job, not mine. Do it yourself. I don't have time for this. I've got enough on my plate already. But she didn't listen to me.
Just figure it out. Thanks. Bye.
Then she just ran off. Seriously? Wow. I didn't know what to do. I thought about talking to my supervisor, but they'll just take her side anyways. And most of my supervisors were guys, so I was out of luck. So I decided to get back to work. I worked for hours. I was starting to get sleepy. So tired. But I still got Claire's paperwork. Around the same time, Bob was talking to Claire.
Hey, where's Allie?
She said she was working late.
Oh, okay. So, you finished all your work?
Yeah.
All of it?
Yep.
Good work. Oh, can I get the flash drive then?
Huh?
Alex asked you to put all the data into the flash drive and hand it to me, right? Well, where is it? You finished already? Good work! I thought that would take you at least a few days, but Bob was right. Allie is really good at her job, huh?
Huh? Allie?
I know you've been making her do all your work, Claire. You can't keep doing that.
What? No. Did she tell you this? She's lying. Why would she do this to me?
Back at the office, I was falling asleep. Oh, crap, I fell asleep. Gotta get back to work. I still got Claire's paperwork. I thought about leaving, but if I did that, she'll just blame me for everything. Why am I doing this for her? This is so unfair. I was so irritated. But then I got a call from Claire. What?
Hey, it's me. My supervisor thinks I'm making you do all my work for me. Can you call him and tell him that it's not true?
What? But it's true. Why would I do that?
Just do it. Come on, we're friends, aren't we? Friends help each other out.
What? But you've never helped me once. I was getting pretty annoyed by her. Then someone walked up to me from behind.
Can I talk to her?
Bob, what are you doing here?
I heard Claire dumped all her workload on you, so. And the bar is just around the corner.
Oh, okay.
Can I talk to her?
Okay. So I handed him the phone.
Claire, it's me. I heard everything. I know what you've been doing to her. And now you're asking her to lie to protect yourself? That's not right.
Bob, wait, you're at the office? How did you?
That's not important. You can't just make others do your work. What do you do all day anyways? The company isn't paying you to do nothing. Do your job!
I'm sorry.
Don't apologize to me. Apologize to Allie. Here she is.
Then she apologized to me. She sounded really upset. I'm sorry. She sounded pissed. I guess she didn't see this coming. She always thought everyone was on her side. Thank you, Bob.
I know how hard you've been working, Allie.
Then he patted me on my head. After that, everyone at the office found out about what Claire was doing. People started avoiding her.
She might be pretty, but what can she actually do?
Yeah, we're working our butts off. But she just sits there all day doing nothing. This is ridiculous.
Everyone stopped talking to her. Nobody wanted her around anymore. And after I stopped helping her, everyone found out how useless she was.
What have you been doing for the past year?
She was so useless. And one day, the manager finally snapped and yelled at her. A few months later, she quit. As for me,
Allie, let's go out for lunch.
Okay.
Bob and I started dating. Glad everything worked out. I'm Alice. I live with my husband and son. Oh, next Saturday is our wedding anniversary. I'm so busy with work, housework, and taking care of my child that I tend to forget our anniversary. Well, this year is our 5th year of marriage, so I think we should celebrate it with a big party. I was thinking about how to celebrate our wedding anniversary this weekend. Then I heard an unexpected word from my husband.
Hey, can I go out this weekend?
What? This weekend? Has he forgotten about our anniversary? Is it something urgent?
No, but I've been thinking about going on a trip with my parents while they're healthy.
Oh, I see. But I have to work during the day, so what about John?
It's all right. I'll take him with us. My parents would be thrilled, too.
I thought, why don't they go when I can also go? But his parents have plans too, and I didn't want to be selfish. I was a little disappointed that we couldn't celebrate our anniversary, but I said, well, okay, take good care of John.
Thanks. John, we're going to the trip.
Yay!
And on the day of the trip, I sent my husband and son off with a big smile on my face.
John, enjoy your trip with Grandpa and Grandma. I'll bring back some gifts for you. I'll be waiting for you.
After I dropped them off, I went to work. But just as I was about to leave for lunch, my cell phone rang.
Hello, Mom?
What's wrong?
I feel sick. I want to go home.
What's wrong? Where's Dad? Where's Grandma and Grandpa?
No Daddy. No Grandma and Grandpa.
I was incredibly surprised to hear him say that. My son on the other end of the phone sounded so sick, and he said he threw up on his bed and was all alone without his father. What's he doing leaving him alone? I immediately asked my manager for early retirement. I usually don't throw my work away in the middle of the day, so he knew that something terrible had happened and immediately okayed it, assigning my work to someone else. And I immediately jumped on the bullet train. Meanwhile, I kept calling John. Are you okay?
I have a stomachache and I feel sick.
I heard his voice on the other end of the line, and I was all upset and angry and wanting to cry. John, I'm going to call an adult right now. Can you just bear with me for a minute? I'm on my way.
I'll hang in there.
Once I hung up John's phone, I called the hotel where I was staying, told them about the child's condition, and they immediately sent a staff member with first aid experience to my son's room. He then called me from John's phone.
Hello, I'm from the hotel, and I'm calling an ambulance right now to take your son away. I'm at the Care and Cure hospital. Can you come here?
Yes, please take care of my son. I've never felt so slow on a bullet train. And as soon as I got off, I headed straight for the hospital. After the examination, my son was diagnosed with acute gastroenteritis. The doctor said,
I think it was unimaginably painful. You did very well. Really well.
I felt like killing my husband. But at the same time, I couldn't stop crying, thinking about the fact that I had put him through this alone. I'm so sorry.
No, I'm fine.
I'm not going anywhere now. I left him in the hospital room and called someone. Hello, Mom? Where are you? I'm having tea with my friends. Where's your husband? He's at a golf tournament since this morning with some of his colleagues. What's going on? Are you coming over? I told my mother-in-law why I'm here. Then she got in a rage and said, I'm coming over right now. Then my mother-in-law hung up the phone violently. And then, when the sun went down, I got a call from my husband.
John's gone!
What do you mean, gone?
He disappeared while I was at the convenience store for a minute. I'm gonna have the hotel staff look for him now. Can you come too?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'm already here.
Wait, where?
At the Cure and Care hospital.
What's wrong with John?
What's wrong with John? You're the one who left him to cheat. What's with the convenience store?
Wait a minute!
We're all going to the hotel.
We?
I had a hospital nurse take a little look at John, and then I stormed over to my husband's place. And when he saw us, he looked surprised.
Why are my mom and dad here?
You piece of shit! My mother-in-law is a very big woman, so she was very strong. Since my husband was not defending himself at all, slapped by my mother-in-law's hand, was knocked off his feet, and he fell on his ass.
What the hell, Mom?
John had acute gastroenteritis, and he's had to endure a stomachache and vomiting the whole time he's been in this hotel. What were you doing all that time? You were cheating on her. You even used me and your father. My husband's face turned blue when he found out John was sick and that everything had been exposed.
Is John okay?
And now my father-in-law...
You have no right to worry about him, you bastard!
My husband, who had no idea that his son was sick, showed some concern for John after all this time, but everyone there looked down on him with a cold stare. Well, you have no right to worry about me anymore. I want a divorce. I've already spoken to your parents. After hanging up the phone with me, my mother-in-law immediately contacted my father-in-law, who was playing golf, and told him to come over. As soon as my mother-in-law and father-in-law saw John in his hospital room, they burst into tears and got down on their knees. I'm so sorry about my son, and I'm so glad that John is okay.
I'm so sorry, and I don't know how many apologies I can give you. I know it's not enough, but please, let me apologize.
I asked them to raise their heads. I told them that I was going to divorce my husband because I couldn't forgive him for cheating on me and for what he did to our child. Of course, my in-laws agreed immediately.
Oh no, please forgive me!
Of course I can't. Do you know what today is?
Today is,
It's our anniversary. I was planning to celebrate it, but you wanted to go on vacation with your parents, so I gave up. And then you didn't even remember. And you left our child and cheated on me. There's no way I can stay married to you any longer.
It was my fault. It was just a passing fancy. You're all I've got.
My husband's excuses have left me and even my parents dumbfounded. I then asked them to take my husband back. The next day, I took John with me and went to his parents' house with the divorce papers. I asked my husband to tell me all about his affair partner's identity, and I found out where she was. Apparently, she was an employee of the same company as my husband, and she was married. I sent a certified letter first and let her husband know. My husband was furious that I'd told him, but I had a lawyer on the other end of the line, so I didn't care. And I got the compensation I deserved from both of them. He also informed me that after he divorced me, his parents had disowned him. John is out of the hospital and is doing well and enjoying his days with my parents. I never want to see my husband again. But I would want to visit my former in-laws once in a while, who stood by me and my son to the end, and show them their grandson.
I'm Allie. I'm a housewife. I live with my husband and my son.
This is delicious!
Yeah! Thanks, guys. It wasn't easy being a mom, but I loved my family. What a beautiful day. Morning, Allie. Hey, Blair. This was my new neighbor, Blair. She was a housewife as well. Did you see today's horoscope? Mine was terrible. Oh, sorry to hear that. But yours were terrible too. Why tell me that? Ugh. She was kinda annoying. I tried to stay away from her as much as possible. But that day, I ran into her right after my husband left for work.
See ya, Allie!
Bye now, love ya!
Love you too!
Was that your husband? He's cute. Yeah, thanks. She was right. My husband was pretty handsome. I still can't believe he married me. Why did he marry you? It doesn't make sense. No offense, but he can do much better. Huh? I know. You had some dirt on him, didn't you? What? No, it wasn't like that. No way. I don't believe you. He was gorgeous. He can do a lot better than you. Like, me, maybe. Huh? I bet I can steal him away from you. Excuse me? No wonder your son is so cute. He gets his genes from his daddy. I'd love to have his kids. Are you insane? You're married. You've got kids too. So, what's wrong with wanting to be with a gorgeous man? What the hell was wrong with her? Just stay away from her. I want nothing to do with her. Okay then, I gotta go. Bye. So I ran back home. But after that, she tried all kinds of things to see my husband. She always waited for us outside when he was going to work. She always wore makeup too. Good morning, looking good as always.
Ah, thanks.
My husband was creeped out too. Then she followed him to his company and asked him out to lunch. Want to take me out to lunch?
Sorry, but no. I'm married.
Oh, come on, please, just once. We thought this was getting out of hand, so we decided to have a talk with Blair and her husband. Did you know about this? Your wife's been following my husband to work.
I'm sorry. I had no idea. Hey, is this true?
Wait, I didn't follow him or anything. Plus, he enjoys it when I flirt with him.
What? No! I told you to stop countless times!
Come on, we were meant to be together. Allie, you shouldn't be hugging him all to yourself. It's wrong. I know. Why don't you go out with my husband or something? Problem solved. Yay! What the hell was wrong with her? We didn't know what to say to her. Don't worry about your daughter, though. We'll take care of her until I have his kids. It'll be good practice. That's enough. She's our daughter. You're not going anywhere near her. Get away from us. If you bother us again, we're calling the cops. Then we walked out of there. I was so annoyed by her. She was creeping me out.
She's clearly insane. If she comes anywhere near you again, call 911, okay?
Yeah. Blair didn't bother us for a while after that. I guess her husband was keeping a close eye on her. Then, a few weeks later, we went to visit my parents. Grandma! Grandpa!
Hey there!
We had a nice barbecue out in the yard. It was a lot of fun. My husband was enjoying himself too. But then, when we got home, something terrible happened.
Ah, that was fun. I'm exhausted.
Yeah, I'll get the bags. I'll help.
Thanks.
Can you take that up to the bedroom? Okay. So we went back inside as my daughter went up the stairs. But then... I heard my kids screaming.
What's the matter?
Did someone break in? We ran upstairs. I couldn't believe it. Ugh, so loud. I'm trying to sleep. It was Blair. She was sleeping on our bed, naked. Oh, you got me. It's not my fault I'm attractive. Your husband, I told him no, but he wouldn't listen. Why are you here? Get out of here! What was she talking about? My husband was with me the entire time.
How did you get in here?
This is breaking and entering.
I'll call her husband. I've got his number right here.
Her husband said he was on his way. We checked her bag as we waited for him to arrive. What the? That's my engagement ring!
What are you doing with my tie?
So she broke in and tried to steal stuff from our house. I felt bad for her husband, but we had to call the cops.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I was keeping a close eye on her, but she just slipped out and... Oh, I'm so sorry. Please don't call the cops. Our daughter has her entrance exam soon. We can't put her through this.
Her husband apologized to us over and over again, but she didn't even say sorry. And I knew she'd try this again. But he did have a point. I didn't want to put their daughter through this during exam season, so we decided to sleep on it. The next day, her husband called us.
Forget what I said yesterday. You can call the cops on her. I'm sorry for everything.
I had no idea what was going on, so I asked him what happened. Turns out it was his daughter. I hate her. She's the worst mother ever. Please divorce her. He always wanted to get a divorce, but he thought it would be bad for his daughter. But after talking with her, he decided to leave her.
My daughter and I are leaving. We're done with her. She should pay for what she did.
Then they split up. So we called the cops and pressed charges. She got taken downtown and spilled everything. Turns out she planted a bug in our bedroom. So she knew that we were going to my parents' house for the weekend. And my husband was planning to come home a day early for work. That's why she was waiting in bed, butt naked. Too bad we decided to come home early with him. She said she tried to steal my engagement ring because she was jealous. Oh, and how did she get in? Turns out she made a spare key when I invited her over to the house months ago. I was speechless. She got arrested and her parents paid us back for everything. After she was released, her parents took her back to their house to work off the debt. I know my husband was handsome, but I wasn't expecting anything like this to happen. Whatever. I'm just glad it's all over now.
My brother and his wife wanted to have children, but they could not have children, so they went to the hospital and found out that my brother had a zoospermia. My brother and his wife divorced after a discussion, and 3 years later, my brother remarried a single mother, Ms. A, with whom she had 2 sons. Her ex-husband had died. My brother was overjoyed with his long-awaited children. The kids were 5 and 10 years old at the time of his remarriage, and now the younger one is a college student. However, late last year, Ms. A asked my brother for a divorce. My brother was surprised and was totally opposed to the divorce. But Ms. A did not change her mind, so they had a discussion at our house, including my parents and me. The reason she wanted divorce was, "You have been a father to my sons, and that is, I'm very grateful. But you didn't become my husband, and my younger son will soon be independent. There's no reason for us to be a father and mother." According to Ms. A, quote, "He listens to his children's stories eagerly, but he never listens to mine. When I ask him to have dinner with me once in a while, he says, 'What are you talking about? Is it so bad that I want to go out with him once a year?' He can't take time off for us as a couple. When I invited my husband to a movie that I thought he'd be interested in, he ignored me. But if the kids wanted to see the same movie, then yes. He said, 'Let's go out with the 3 of us.'" My brother's response to this was,
I don't care about what you're talking about, because it's a bunch of crap that doesn't matter. We have children, so it's natural that we'd rather be a father and a mother than being a couple. Children are children no matter how old they are. And the movie was not something that you would be interested in, so I invited the kids. I thought it would be better if I did so.
Even though Ms. A invited him to the movie first, you don't remember because you're not really interested.
No, I don't think so.
At first, he argued with her in a calm manner, but as we talked, he started to get excited.
I fed you and your 2 kids. And I had physical relationships with you too, you ungrateful son of a bitch!
And she was shifted to a supercilious way of speaking. By the way, Ms. A works full-time, so she's not in a position to say that she's provided for them. He loves his children and has adopted them, so my brother is responsible for their upbringing. Ms. A is not angry, but remains calm and unaffected and said, "If you're that unhappy with me, maybe we should get a divorce. You don't need me." We, as a family, have been listening to what they have to say. But from what we have heard, it seems that my brother doesn't love Ms. A, and that's why she's going to ask for a divorce. I thought that maybe he still loves his ex-wife. Sometimes he seems like he is comparing them, and he talks about his ex-wife when he's with me. The divorce was caused by his illness, not by either of them changing their minds or having an affair, so my brother might have married Ms. A while he still had feelings for his ex-wife. I felt sorry for Ms. A as a woman, that he had been with her still missing his ex-wife. My brother gained children who were never born between him and his ex-wife, while still having feelings for his ex-wife. What a tragic story. After hearing my brother and Ms. A's story, my mother called my 2 nephews after they left to talk to them. The nephews had been talking to Ms. A about the divorce for some time. My mother thought that Ms. A might be exaggerating, but the nephews fully agreed with Ms. A's story. The nephews' opinions about the divorce were almost the same. They said,
Dad was always nice to us, but he was always cold to Mom. No wonder she wants a divorce.
My nephews had very mixed feelings towards it. That's right, of course. Wouldn't it be nice if their father had a single-minded love for them? There were many children in the world who suffer and cry because they don't have loving parents. But at the same time, it must have been very painful for them to see their mother neglected or coldly treated in front of their eyes. I'm sure they felt it more vividly as they grew up, if only when they were children. But there were times when my nephews thought they could handle it themselves, too. They wanted their father, who neglected their mother, to give her some attention. So they brought Ms. A to the center of the stage and did all kinds of other things. However, what they felt was their mother's alienation and his doting on them. And it was true that he really was not interested in Ms. A, or he saw her as unimportant, and that did not change. Also, since they are both boys, they must have felt that they had to protect their mother. But they felt a bit of disgust or resignation toward the existence of their father, who treated their mother with disrespect. After all this, last month Ms. A left home with her children. My brother called me and complained.
Would you leave your longtime husband so easily? That's why I hate women.
Well, I do empathize with his frustration a bit, since he adored them so much, but I don't understand how he could deny the divorce when he doesn't admit his own fault at all. I'm surprised that he thinks they can stay married when his wife feels alienated. His sons know it, and he himself says he doesn't care about her. It's as if for my brother, marriage is not about connecting Ms. A and himself as husband and wife, but about him and his children as a family. I turned to my brother and said, "I'm glad you're not living with that cold woman anymore." He yelled at me. My brother should think why my father, who is a sane man, scolded him and not Ms. A. The brother, left alone after Ms. A's departure, has not changed his way of thinking. On the contrary, his resentment towards Ms. A grew stronger day by day, and I was fed up with him taking out his anger on me and my parents who were around. When I said, "But you didn't marry Ms. A, you just happened to choose Ms. A who had a child, right?" He replied,
I picked a woman with kids and married her. I shouldn't be the one to blame.
"You don't understand the meaning of marriage in the first place." Also, to my dad, he says,
Why should I be blamed? The one who should be blamed is the one who left with the kids without permission.
Then my parents reply,
It's because you didn't think about her feelings at all. She's your wife before she's the mother of your children. You never listened to her, you excluded her from everything, and you should be grateful that she has been your wife for such a long time. You know what? You should take a better look at yourself before you say this and that to others.
Well, my brother remains unchanged. I exchanged numbers with Ms. A because we were family until they got divorced. I thought maybe she already blocked me because she divorced my brother. But after that, I sent her a message saying, "I was wondering how you and your sons are doing. How are you?" I was surprised to see that she replied immediately. Apparently, Ms. A is living happily with her kids in a new apartment. I was relieved to hear that, although it was a little far from the office. Both the older and younger kids took the initiative in doing housework and cooking, which was very helpful for her. She also sent me pictures of her sons, and they all had nice smiles on their faces. Then, 5 years later, I heard that Ms. A is seeing another man. She said that she had 2 failed marriages, and she was not going to get married for a while, but she seemed to be very happy. My brother, on the other hand, has been taking out his hatred of Ms. A on our family for a long time since then, and my mother and father have become estranged from him. And then he somehow figured out that Ms. A is dating another person, and he said,
You can't have my children!
and got her address from one of Ms. A's acquaintances and stormed into their house in a distant place. The police were called and he was arrested. I was a little horrified that my brother thought Ms. A's sons were still his too, even though they were now grown up. My parents, Ms. A's family, and I have no intention of having anything to do with my brother anymore. We hope you enjoyed this video, and if you found it interesting, please like and subscribe and give us a comment. Stay tuned for the next video.
How was today's video? If you enjoyed it, please subscribe, like, and leave a comment. Stay tuned for more.